Hello. I just wanted to, I don't know, I got to thinking about something. God just kind of laid this on my heart a little while ago, about the prophetic, which I love. I love everything about the prophetic. I mean, I have ever since I've come in this real close relationship with God. And, He just laid it on my heart that, lately, now He's wanting His teachers, the ones, the pastors and the teachers, which, sometimes I kind of get, I don't know, I shouldn't say, like, I don't know how to even word it, but it's just, I guess I feel kind of strange sometimes when God gives me an assignment like that to, tell a pastor or a preacher or something, because He had me do that one time with my old pastor at my other church, and I was like, oh Lord. I was like, oh no. He had me tell him a word, and I was like, oh my gosh. I just felt so strange doing that, but God, He just kept impressing me to do it, so I finally did it, and I was like, Lord have mercy. But He knew it was from God. Now He's done that again tonight. He's giving me this message that's for those that are teaching His word, the pastors and the evangelists and prophets and the other people that He's given that platform to preach His word. He wants them to start operating in the prophetic and start activating His people, because if they're not activated in the prophetic, then they're not going to know what things are to come or nothing, because I believe that this is a prophetic time that we're in. And God's wanting His people to know the things that are to come. And if we're not activated in the prophetic, and, we're not prophesying to people, and we're not, telling them of things to come, then they're not going to know nothing. They're going to be clueless, and they're not going to be able to do anything. And a good example of that is, like I was saying, I was going to start doing a video of the dreams that God's been showing me things in my dreams, and it's just been so awesome. I mean, it's so interesting when God shows you things, because at first I didn't know what it meant, but then He told me, and I'm like, okay, now this is making sense. So when He gave me, when He helped me understand it, then I was like, okay, now I get it. But one thing that He showed me in my dream was about one of my family members. He told me, He says, you need to pray for them. And He told me specifically what to pray for. I had no clue, because I'm like, okay, I pray for my family all the time. I always lift them up in prayer, and I'm always praying for them. But He told me specifically a thing to pray for them for healing, something in their body that they were sick. And I didn't know nothing. I'm like, my family don't tell me, if they're sick or nothing, other than, them having the common cold or, something like that. But this was different. This is a more serious matter that He had me pray for. And He woke me up in the middle of the night. I had that dream, and then I woke up and I thought, Lord, what does this mean? I mean, why are you showing me this? And I didn't understand it, because I'm like, none of my family members is sick, that has anything, that serious wrong with them. He's like, oh yes. He says, you need to pray for them now, and I'll tell you exactly how to pray and how to, to pray for my healing on them, and I'll heal them. I said, okay. So He showed me, and He told me, a specific way to pray for people that I wanted to share, because I thought it was interesting. I never thought of it, this way before. But He said to start with their head, to pray for their mind, not just their head, but He said to pray for their mind. Start with the mind, and then go to their eyes and their ears and their mouth, and, on down to every part of their body, their stomach and their chest and their legs and their arms and hands. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, Lord. I said, I had no clue, but He said, just pray that they had the mind of Christ, and that they have ears to hear my voice, and that they won't hear the enemy's voice, but they'll hear my voice, and that no other voices will drown out my voice. And He said to pray for everything that their hand touches prospers, that the enemy will not be able to hinder my plan for their life. And I mean, He just gave me specific things to pray for. And I thought, wow, this is powerful. I thought, this is so awesome. I never thought of prayer like that before. I pray for people, of course, all the time, but I never thought of, it being that specific. But then after God told me that, I thought about it, and I thought, well, Lord, You're a God of detail. He's not a God that just, when He tells you something, He don't just say, oh, flippantly say something. He gives you specific, instructions on things. And I thought, well, God, You're specific. You get down to the details. You're into details. So it's like, you have to, He's more of a detailed God. So He wants us to pray in detail instead of just praying, like we normally pray. He wants us to form a new habit of praying. which is interesting to me. I thought, well, wow. I said, okay. So I just started praying that way. And I prayed that way for my family member, the one that he told me to pray for, because he showed me that in a dream. And I'm like, wow. I said, that is so powerful. And it was like a warning dream. This other dream he showed me was a warning dream for somebody. And he said, you need to pray now. I mean, I know when God's specific, he has a way of getting through to us, and he wants us to do something right then. And he just woke me up after that dream, and I thought, I couldn't shake that feeling. I said, I got a feeling just something ain't right. And he says, no, nothing, something is wrong. He says, I need you to pray for this person. I need you to pray for my protection over them right now, this minute. And I said, okay. So I prayed for him, and I just kept praying and praying and praying until I felt, God, I don't know how to put it into words, but until I felt like a release to where it was okay to not pray anymore. But I just felt it so heavy on me that I just had to keep praying and praying and praying until I felt like it was okay to quit. And then I was like, okay, now everything's fine. But in these times, this is how God's going to show us things. He's going to begin to show us things in our dreams, so we have to pay attention to the dreams that we have and not just throw them aside, but write them down. I mean, keep a journal by your bed or something, or your smartphone or whatever that you can write notes on, and be just diligent with doing it and write down the dreams and the things that he shows you, because they mean something. He don't just show us things like that just to show it to you. He has a purpose for it. So whenever he shows you something in your dreams like that, pay attention to it and write it down, because it's important. And I think, a lot of times you just blow them off. And, I used to do that too. I used to blow it off and I ain't going to write that down. That don't even make sense. And I wouldn't even bother to ask God about it. And I'm thinking, and then when he told me that, he says, no, you need to pay attention, because I'm showing you these things in your dreams and you're not paying attention to them. And you're wondering why all these crazy things are happening. And that's why, because you're not paying attention to the things that I'm showing you in your dreams and in visions. So, this is a time where he's starting to show his people things in dreams and in visions. And we have to pay attention to our dreams and pay attention to the visions and be more sensitive to his voice, so that we can, catch it, so that we'll wake up. And when you wake up, just write it down. I mean, no matter what time it is, it doesn't matter. Just write it down, because if you wait until the morning or wait till later, you'll forget it. And you won't remember it to write it down, because I've done that before. I just said, oh no, I'll write it down later. I won't forget it. And sure enough, I forgot it. And God said, well, I told you, write it down when I tell you, when I show it to you, so that you'll have it down and you won't forget it, and it'll be something that you can pray for later, when you pray and stuff. So I think now, I mean, I just feel it really strongly. I mean, I've been feeling it like this ever since I went to that prophetic conference over on, when John Eckhart came to Tampa. I went to that Reset Tampa. That was so life-changing for me. That was just like, wow. I mean, that opened up the whole prophetic world to me in a whole new way, because I was like, man. I mean, he activated people there, and I got activated there. And I mean, ever since, God's been showing me so many things. It's just like a prophetic explosion happened ever since then. It's just been amazing, the things that God's showing me. Just like earlier today, for instance, when I went to the store, I was going to go to the self-checkout, like I usually do, just to pay for stuff, because I didn't feel like going through the line. Usually that store doesn't have, any cashiers, so I just normally just go to the self-checkout, and just do it myself. But I went there today to do that. I was at the self-checkout, and the cashier came over and said, no, the person went to their car to get their money. They when they rang it up, they didn't have their card with them, so they went to their car and got their card. And the minute she said that, God said, no. He told me, he's like, they're not coming back. And I said, they're not coming back. Without even thinking, who I was talking to. It was funny. I said, they're not coming back. And she kind of looked at me like, what? Like, how do you know? And I was like, okay. She says, just come over here in my lane. There's nobody there, and I'll ring you up. And I'm like, okay. So I went over there and just let her do it. But then when I got out of the store, I got in the car. I was like, Lord. I was like, you tell me things, and it's like, wow. But he told me, he's like, that guy ain't coming back. I was like, nope. Because I didn't see nobody nowhere running to their car to get their money. I said, he ain't coming back. But God told me that, and I thought it was funny, because I just said it without even thinking. I was like, nah, he ain't coming back. And she kind of looked at me funny. She's like, huh? I was like, oh boy. I just said forget it. I just went about it and said forget it. And she just said, well, come over to my lane and I'll check you out and I'll ring you up. And I was like, okay. So I did that. I just let her ring me up. And but this is just a time that we really need to, even with the things that God's showing me, and he's going to be showing everybody, all his children, this. So we have to really, pay attention to the dreams and the visions he shows us, because they mean something. He don't just show it to you for nothing. He's not just showing us these things for nothing. He shows you warning dreams too sometimes, and warning visions. So you always got to pay attention to them and write them down. But just keep a journal by your bed, and a pen, so that you'll be ready to write it down whenever he, shows you things in your dreams. But I just wanted to share that with everybody and just kind of get that word out there. So to all the pastors and the teachers, start activating your people in the prophetic, because they need to be activated. They need to start prophesying and just being out there to be able to help other people and activate them so that they can operate in the prophetic. So I just wanted to put that out there and say that little message, and just to remind everybody to always write down your dreams and don't just, blow them off as nothing, because they mean something. Until next time, bye.